Hi there, internet associate. It's Anthony, and I'm about to do another reaction to The Walking Dead. So this is season 2, episode 8, Nebraska, and I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in this episode now that after last episode, it looks like the group is about to have to be back on the move again. Because, Shane just kind of went off and let all those things out, and then everybody in the group was killing them, and Hershel looked distraught. And yeah, so they're not going to be able to stay at that farm anymore, I would imagine. And, after all that, I've just had it up to here with Shane. I mean, I know there have been times before in the show where it's like he did something that was kind of and it was like, well, maybe you could justify it because, like when he, not all the times, but sometimes, like when he, shot Otis and left him there to die. It's like, well, he was saving Carl's life, or, that was the only option left. There was no way they could have both made it out. Fair enough. I mean, I'm still not, I still think that was more than just a bad circumstance making a good person do something bad. I still think that showed a little bit of Shane's character. I think that there still might have been some other ways I could have gone. I don't know, but, I don't know. I just feel like at this point, though, with Shane, I'm no longer at a place of where, like, well, he's kind of uncomfortably right. It's uncomfortable, but he's kind of right. Like, no, I just think that this man is in the wrong. Like, he's just not going about things the right way, in my opinion. And, granted, he is being, like, logical. But like I said before, I don't think that being 100% logical or the most logical decision necessarily makes something the correct decision. So even if you want to say that, like, what Shane is doing is logical, it still doesn't make it correct. I know I'm just going off on a rant right now about Shane, but it's just, he's really been annoying me lately. And it's like, it's not even like it's like I uncomfortably agree with him or anything. Like, no, I just think he's like just in the wrong. And yeah, he might be doing what's the most logical thing to survive, but it's not the right thing, in my opinion. There's still other ways to go about some things, and I think. So let's see what's going to happen now that I've gotten that rant out of the way. Because I've just been thinking about it ever since that last episode. Like, I do not like Shane. Like, I can't get over this. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the episode. This is The Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 8, Nebraska. Dang, they picked up right where we left off. They didn't get her completely. She was playing dead.
You knew, and you kept it from us.
I didn't know.
That's bullshit. I think y'all knew.
We didn't know.
Why was she there?
If anybody knew, it might have been Otis, because didn't they say that Otis would bring people in? But, I mean, Otis died, so there wasn't really any way of knowing, you know what I mean? So if anything, I mean, like, that can kind of be traced back to Shane. I'm going to just start blaming everything on Shane now.
Otis, put those people in the barn.
See?
My land.
No, let me tell you something, man.
Hey, don't touch him! Haven't you done enough?
At this point, I'm like, I just don't like Shane. And, I'm always, like, wanting to see everybody's side. And, I get it. Like, I understand why Shane is acting the way he's acting. I understand this world brings certain things out of certain people. It amplifies certain things within you. Like, so if that's kind of how you are inside, you're going to be more like that in this type of world. And I get that Shane is just trying to do what he can to survive, but it's just really starting to bother me. I guess just because, personally, we just have such different mindsets. So I won't even say he's objectively wrong, but to me, he's completely doing things wrong. I can totally see how somebody would think he's completely in the right, though.
I almost died looking for her, Rick. Any one of us could have. I'm gonna tell you right now, that son of a bitch. He knew.
Shane, why would he not tell you? He wanted you to leave.
We all did. I mean, me. That I'd be the one.
Yeah, I wanted
Maybe
Carl
she
to be the
was
one, or
hiding
Daryl.
In a cave or a tree.
It's a lot of digging.
We bury the ones we love and burn the rest.
Let's get to
I
work.
don't know why that just seems funny to me. I mean, it makes sense, I guess.
He wants us off the farm.
Of course.
Shane, at least.
Hey, well then let's just kick Shane out.
People counting on me, and I had him chasing a ghost in a forest.
Again, I feel like Rick has to trust his intuition. And he can't doubt himself on things. sometimes it's not going to look like it was the best decision because something ends up going, the other way. And you can never know. Sometimes it won't be the best decision. But I feel like, sometimes we owe it to each other to make those tough decisions that aren't always, just what's the most logical for our own self-preservation. At the end of the day, Rick still cared about everybody. He still made sure that, they were at this place, that they were able to stay here as long as possible, that they stayed safe and everything. I mean, while he was still trying to get Sophia, it's not like he just disregarded everything completely and just was being reckless, as Shane is trying to paint it, like Rick has just been making move after move that's going to get everyone killed. But he's still also trying to, make those tough decisions and actually still try to go back and not like just leave people behind, basically. A lot of tension between Dale and Shane.
You got something to say, Dale?
Shane also reminds me of one of those people that might sometimes give good advice, but like they give it in the meanest, most jerkiest way possible. Nobody wants to take advice from a jerk.
Sophia died a long time ago.
I wonder if she would have just preferred to not know, like if they just never found Sophia. And maybe there was always that chance that sometime down the line she'd run into her again. I wonder if that would have been any better or worse for her. Because it's like now at least she has the confirmation of what happened to Sophia. She doesn't have to question that anymore. But at the same time, maybe just the thought of some type of hope, however unlikely, might have been more helpful and felt better. Is she packing up? So Cherokee Rose. Ain't no hope anymore. Yeah, them roses ain't helped nothing. Now all they are is a reminder of how much they lied with their false hope.
Who cost us with Hershel?
He's grieving. He'll come around. See, we had no choice. Look, I shot too. This wasn't
You
our
had
shot.
no choice.
Look, I got no qualms about it. Walker's in my backyard.
I mean, well, yeah, once the stuff came out, I don't blame y'all for shooting. You were still a little overzealous. Like, obviously, you were trying to do it beforehand. Once they all came out, yeah, you had to shoot them at that point. They were free. They were going to try to kill you otherwise. But to say you had no choice, that Shane had no choice?
I'm not saying that.
About it, it's done. There's nothing we can do about it.
Better get moving.
What we can do about it is reevaluate Shane's status in this group. But I guess that's where there is a point of arguing, because then it's like they have to reach a consensus of was what Shane did right or wrong. And is his presence, given all this good that he has done, even in some of his, dubious ways, he has done a lot of good. Is his presence, that beneficial to where he does need to remain in the group? Or are some of the crazy things he's doing outweighing the good? That's definitely a topic for discussion. I mean, Shane's definitely been a big help, man. I mean, I'm not denying, like, Shane has been integral in this group's survival as a whole, pretty much. He saved a lot of people's lives.
There is. I'd watch you.
Oh my God. Dang, what happened to her?
What's wrong with her? She might be in shock. Where's Hershel?
We can't find him anywhere.
That man just packed his bags and left.
Carl said he would have shot Sophia himself. That's your son. He's getting cold. He's growing up in a world
I don't know if that's getting cold. I disagree. In that case, she was a walker. Like, what could you have done? Like, they had to shoot her at that point. I think it's mature that Carl recognizes that. As long as he doesn't just adopt Shane's mentality. This stuff is very nuanced, It's very, very nuanced. The difference between cold and compassionate can simply be a matter of circumstance in this world.
This group would think that what Shane did was justified.
I know you two can't stand each other, but he did something that needed to be done.
This is dangerous.
This is really polarizing. Oh, Dale just said he thinks Shane killed Otis to Lori. I wonder if this is as polarizing amongst like the Walking Dead fans, audience, or whatever as it is amongst the group. Since clearly some people think Shane did what needs to be done, and other people think that Shane was doing too much and he was in the wrong in this situation. Seems like it likely was a polarizing amongst people that watched this too. I'm definitely in the camp that Shane was in the wrong, if you haven't noticed already.
He was killed by walkers. Shane may be a hothead, but he's not a murderer. And why would he kill somebody who's trying to help?
I don't know, maybe he was pinned down.
Clearly you don't know Shane as well as we do. He always said it to his face.
I knew guys like him.
That's true though. A lot of these characters don't have the same amount of context and knowledge about what Shane has done as we, the audience, do. So that can also easily influence us to dislike Shane a little bit more than it might make some of these characters dislike him.
Smart enough to know what she's feeling.
No.
It seems like you're just in denial, Glenn.
She wants to be in love.
You're in denial.
So she needs something to like.
Glenn, it's
hold
pretty
on to.
obvious.
I've never had a woman say that to me before. You know, except my mom, of course, and my sisters. But with Maggie, it's different. I mean,
I would hope it's different.
yeah, I'm sorry I kept it from you.
Don't be. You did what you thought was right. Just so happens it wasn't.
Rick, man. See, Rick gets it. It's like you got to do what you think is right. Maybe it's not right all the time, but you got to do it. Because if you're not doing what you think is right, what are you doing? What do you have left in this world? You might not always be right, but you got to do what you think is right. I love it. And that applies to Shane too. You know, he's doing what he thinks is right.
Some kind of catatonic shock. We need Hershel.
So in that sense, I respect it.
So what?
I'm not surprised that Daryl is upset about this. He arguably has kind of, you know, endured the most in this search for Sophia. Maybe, I guess,
Who's with you?
excluding Carl.
Beth collapsed. Is in some sort of state. Must be in shock.
was not Georgia.
I think you are too.
I was a fool, Rick. And you people saw that.
Hershel is a lot like Rick, man. He did what he felt was the right thing to do, and it ended up not being the right thing. Now he's beating himself up about it, which Rick can sometimes do. Maybe not to this degree, though. They both put a lot of responsibility and pressure on themselves. Oh, man. That went like as badly as it could have possibly gone.
I promised Maggie I'd bring you home safe.
Like you promised that little girl?
Ooh.
Stop telling me how to care for my family, my farm.
If they're your family and your farm, then go back to them.
No responsibility. You're supposed to be their leader. Well, I'm here now. All right?
And where are you? You're supposed to be their leader.
There is no hope. And you know it now. Like I do.
Rick knows a different type of hope than you, though. Because Rick has been known there was no hope in that sense. Rick knows there's still something left worth fighting for. Come on, Hershel, don't give up on them. This isn't like that doctor. You have people depending on you. Who are these guys?
Bitch. Stationed at Benny. Said the place is overrun by lame brains.
Wait, Fort Benning is gone?
Dang.
Are you for real?
Sadly,
There goes their North Star.
Was your cars out front?
Yeah. Why?
Uh-oh.
I'm living on ours. Those look kind of empty, clean.
Uh-oh.
Where's all your gear? Farm? Old MacDonald.
I'm starting to not like these guys.
When?
We've said enough.
Well, hang on a second. This farm sounds pretty
Nobody
sweet.
said there was a farm.
Yeah.
Do Rick and Hershel have that bad of poker faces that when they said farm, their face just gave away that that's what they have?
We got people we gotta look out for, too.
We don't know anything about you.
It's similar to Rick, you know, telling Hershel, like, but this is definitely a very different situation.
No, that's true.
Like, they have no reason to let these guys in.
You don't know. Hey. Yeah.
Okay.
That'll work.
Rick was like,
Yeah.
what's Tony doing back there?
We can't stay out there. You know what it's like.
Yeah, I do.
It's too tense.
Nebraska.
That's the title of the episode. Yep. Rick's too fast for him. Rick is so fast, man. Rick was ready. That was so cool. And, I just thought about those were people that he just killed. Is this the first time that he's killed people? I mean, being a cop, Rick has probably shot people before. I mean, I didn't mean that in I would hope Rick isn't one of those type of cops. But, I mean, if he's, ever had to be in, a firefight or whatever, he's might have, probably shot and maybe killed somebody before if it, was coming down to, self-defense or something, him or them. So, I don't know. But I feel like, is this the first time on the show that we've seen Rick actually kill other people? If it's not, I'm just forgetting the other time. Okay, so my biggest takeaway from this episode was really just that in this post-apocalyptic crazy world, you really do have to do what you think is right. Go with your gut, go with your intuition. And sometimes that's going to be right, sometimes that's going to be wrong. But at the end of the day, kind of, your intuition, your integrity, that's kind of all you have left. So you have to stick by that, and you have to just do what you feel is right. And sometimes that's going to conflict with other people. I mean, Rick's doing what he thinks is right. Shane's doing what he thinks is right. He told Glenn he was doing what he thought was right. I mean, that was a lesser situation, kind of. But it totally paralleled what Rick was going through. What's his name? Hershel was doing what he thought was right. And sometimes sometimes you might find out that you were wrong. Sometimes there is no objective right or wrong. But at the end of the day, it's like you can't give up on that. If you do something and you follow your gut and you do what you feel like is right, and then it doesn't work out, there's no time to sit around and be like, oh, I wasn't right, I was wrong, and now I just have to give up. Because you haven't really lost until you've given up. And that's basically kind of what Rick was telling Hershel here. Hershel's trying to leave everybody now. He's like, I was wrong. Now there's no point. But it was the same already before you knew that you were wrong. You were just doing what you thought was right, but nothing actually changed. But now that you're actually giving up, now you actually are failing and losing and doing everything that you're, sad and feel like you're doing because you're giving up. And I feel like Rick, he knows this and he probably feels these same things, but he looks at other people and they say a wise man learns from his own mistakes, a wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. Rick is one of those wiser men. He's able to look at other people and say, okay, I know that, I see Glenn beating himself up here. I see Hershel beating himself up. And I can see why they're doing that. They feel like they might have done the wrong thing in a certain situation, but I know that that's not going to be productive, especially now in this world. And we have to stick to what we believe. Sometimes that might conflict with other people. If we can find a compromise between it, we can try to do that. Like Rick and Hershel, they have very different kind of core beliefs and things, but they were still kind of finding ways to work things out. If it's not going to work out, if there can't be a compromise, then I guess we got to figure out where we go from there. And we're still I guess that's still a little bit up in the air, because Shane and Rick right now, it's still a question of, okay, how does this group continue? How do they coexist with these two? How does this group exist with both of these two when it's starting to lead them in very different directions, and it's getting to the point where the group itself is looking to be very polarized, very split down the middle. It's starting to feel like this group is the United States of America or something, with how bipartisan it's becoming between Rick and Shane. And so it's definitely a question of, at this point, how do we even, how do they coexist? They're both doing what they think is right, but clearly they have such different values. How does that work? I don't have the answers to these questions. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. That's what makes this so interesting, because not only is this such a crazy world that these characters are having to live in, but these characters have to deal with each other, and they have to deal with how each other handles this world. So, and then we saw at the end of this episode, sometimes they got to kill other humans because other people are just, it's like those two. They were just doing the same thing that Rick was doing. They're trying to, I guess if they had other people, if that was really the truth, then they're trying to look out for them. Or maybe they're just trying to look out for themselves. Either way, it's they're this is what we got to do. If we got to threaten these people to get onto their place, that's what we're going to try to do. It ended up coming to a head, and, they died because it kind of went down to where it was either them or Rick and Hershel and Glenn. So in a way, people are starting to become each other's enemies on this show. This world is just terrible, man. Like, it's like there's no easy answers to anything. There's no way that everybody can just coexist, because now differing beliefs literally mean life or death. They also kind of mean that in this world too, in our current world, but in a different way. In this world, definitely, like, you know, I mean, it really does mean life and death. So, yeah, it's kind of depressing in a way. But, especially now they lost their kind of their North Star in Fort Benning, since they said that place is totally overrun by lame brains. So, I'm wondering if they're going to stay at the farm longer now that they seem to still kind of be on Hershel's side. He seems to have come around, at least. That's another thing where I'm like, Shane was just being a jerk. Like, maybe see how Hershel came around to it. He ended up changing his mind, but maybe if you could have shown him a different way, things wouldn't have had to go so badly. Like, and that's just why I say, like, there's no use giving somebody advice if you're just going to be a jerk about it. Like, 'cause nobody wants to listen to a jerk giving advice, whether it's good or bad advice. If you're just being mean to somebody and telling them that they need to do this and being mean about it and forcing their hand, they're not going to want to listen to you. Maybe if Shane had just had a little bit more empathy and compassion about it, then maybe he would have gotten Hershel to see it a little bit better. Maybe that's not the most logical way to do it. Like I said, sometimes you got to balance logic and emotion, but that probably would have led to a situation where a lot of what just happened didn't have to happen that way. But at least Hershel now does see that these things aren't, people anymore, and maybe he's going to still continue to let them stay at the farm. I don't know if he'll let Shane stay there, but I don't know. Yeah, man, no idea what's going to happen next. This show has just been going crazy, and I'm just kind of on for the ride, trying to hold on and make sense of everything as best as I can. At the end of the day, there's no objective right or wrong. Everything I'm saying, I know it's just my opinion, but you could look at things a completely different way from me on how these characters are living in this world, and I would totally agree, totally understand. Maybe not agree, but I understand, because it's like, you just got to do you in this world. Everybody's going to think differently. So leave a comment down below. Let me know how you think. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're watching this on YouTube, head on over to Patreon to see the full uncut reactions weeks ahead of the YouTube schedule. Until next time, I will see you all later. I'm Anthony, and I'm out.